We are back. We are going to be continuing with our look at the Torah portion here. Now we'll do our brief highlights of this week's Torah portion, which is Miketz, which is at the end. At the end. The Torah portion is Genesis, Bereshit 41, verse 1, all the way up to 44 and 17. What we are going to be briefly discussing here is Genesis 41, 37 through 45. Genesis 47, verses 37 through 45.
All right, Genesis 41:37. And the word was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, could we find another like him, a man whom is the spirit of Elohim? And then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since Elohim has shown you all this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you. Be over my house, you yourself, and at your mouth all my peoples shall kiss. Only in the throne I am greater than you. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, see, I have set you over all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh took his seal ring off his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and dressed him in his garments of fine linen, and put a gold chain around his neck. And he had him ride on the second chariot which he had, and they cried out before him, bow the knee, and he set him over all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without a word from you, let no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zephanath Paneah, and he gave him as a wife of Asnath, the daughter of Padi Pura, priest of On. And Joseph went over all the land of Mizraim.
Okay, very good. All right, so when we look at this particular portion, it's interesting kind of thinking about the previous portion where Yosef, was dreaming and telling his dreams to his brothers. And of course, we talked about the fact that, his brothers were jealous of his dreams because he's talking about how great he is, and how much over them he would be. And one specific part in particular, I want to just revisit in Genesis 37. Genesis 37 and 9. Oh, wait, I'll just push 27. Genesis 37 and 9. Can you read that for us?
And he dreamed still another dream, and related it to his brothers, and said, see, I have dreamed another dream, and see, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars bowed down to me.
Okay, very good. So we see over here, if we remember back when he had this dream where he talked about the sun and the moon and the stars. Well, we know that, Jacob, when Israel heard this, he was able to say, "Oh, you have your father and mother bowing down to you." He's thinking about kind of the imagery about the sun and the moon. But we're also able to think about the fact that here back in Genesis 41, where, there's essentially no one uh, over him. And in fact, he's over basically everyone. And so his power is such where it can kind of be uh, compared to uh, the sun. I mean, something that will be higher than the sun, I guess, is what the dream is. But and so it's interesting when we look at Yosef and these dreams that he had. We talked about this briefly last week. The fact that Joseph, is also a picture of Messiah. He gets to this place where he's over basically all of the known world, basically. He's over everything that could have something over it at this time. And so, it's fitting to have the thought of this whole sun and moon and stars all bowing down to him. But again, we're able to look at Yosef and see where he is a picture of Messiah. And so, just briefly, I wanted to go over to Revelation, because when I was looking at this, it caused me to think about Revelation chapter 5. Put this up on the screen here, Revelation chapter 5, because we know that Messiah, just like we see in the dream of Yosef, is really over all. So we'll look at chapter 5 here. Read for us starting at verse 1. Revelation chapter 5, verse 1. We're still talking about Yosef and his dreams.
Revelation chapter 5 and 1. Excuse me. And I saw the right hand of him who sat on uh, the throne, a scroll written inside, and on the back having been sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong messenger proclaiming with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the scroll and loosen its seals?" And no one in heaven or on the earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or to look at it. And I wept much because no one was found worthy to open and read the scroll or to look at it. And one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, overcame to open the scroll and to loosen its 7 seals." And I looked and saw in the midst of the throne and of the 4 living creatures, and in the midst of the elders, a lamb standing, as having been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of Elohim sent out into all the earth. And he came and took the scroll out of the right hand of him sitting on the throne. And when he took the scroll, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, each holding a harp and gold bowls filled with incense, which are the prayers of the set apart ones. And they sang a renewed song, saying, "You are worthy to take the scroll and open its seals, because you were slain and have redeemed us to Elohim by your blood out of every tribe and tongue and the people and nation, and made us sovereigns and priests to our Elohim, and we shall reign upon the earth." And I looked, and I heard the voice of many messengers around the throne, and the living creatures, and the elders, and the number of them was midrids, and thousands and of thousands, saying with a loud voice, Worthy is the Lamb having been slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and respect and esteem and blessing. And every creature which is in the heaven and on the earth and under the earth, and such as are in the sea, and all of that are in them, I heard saying, To him sitting on the throne and to the Lamb be the blessing and respect and the esteem and the might forever and ever. And the four living creatures said, Amen. And the four elders fell down, the 24 elders fell down and bowed before him who lives forever and ever. You're muted. There we
Okay, very good. So it's interesting to look and see that here in the end times, we have this situation where Messiah, this one who by his brothers is rejected and you know, doubted, you know, his true identity is concealed and doubted, and there comes this time when all see and know that he is in fact overall. And you know, when we look at Joseph and his situation from a physical standpoint, we see where he kind of goes through that same exact kind of process. And again, it pictures for us the process that Messiah will also go through, where you know, he becomes, you know, one who is greater than the sun and the moon and the stars, and they all come and bow to him. And you see his wisdom and riches and power manifest, just like we see with Joseph, where his wisdom is manifest through this, through the way in which he determines to deal with the famine that is about to come. So again, I just thought about the fact that, you know, again, we see kind of these prophetic dreams that Yosef is having, which look to both his future and also the messianic future pertaining to
I
Messiah.
think it's interesting that at the beginning of each time there's a doubting that takes place from the people that will be bowing down, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not necessarily something that's readily accepted.
Yeah. Readily accepted. Yes, it's not readily accepted. In fact, it's denied and treated as if it's nothing. Also, briefly, I wanted to just bring up the fact that Joseph's Egyptian name, Zaphnath-Paneah,
Kids notice it.
is treasury of the glorious rest. Treasury of the glorious rest. So he is a place where rest is stored up and, you know, set aside for, you know, a particular purpose. We know that Messiah, you know, because of the things that he's done for us, you know, you know, each Shabbat, we kind of rehearse our eternal rest that we will enjoy and take part in with him. And so for us, Messiah is in fact a treasury of glorious rest. When we receive Yeshua HaMashiach, he becomes for us this treasure of rest. So I just thought that was interesting. Okay, anybody have any thoughts, questions, or comments before we go over to the New Testament about the Torah portion or anything we've read thus far?